out of my mind. I'm off the top of my head. I'm spilling. I'm overflowing. I'm spewing. I'm unleashing.
Thanks, Skip.
Thank you, Skip Davis.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of Aggressively Speaking. My name's Tony Dabrowski.
I'm Troy Frank.
And welcome back to our podcast. Troy, we have an exciting show today. So much so that you're
excited.
spewing.
I'm spewing. I'm unleashing. I'm overflowing.
That's disgusting. So, like I said, we have a lot to get to today. Troy wants to talk about the Super Bowl. We obviously got to talk about Mark Dantonio as well. But you know exactly where we're starting. NBA trade deadline was today. The Pistons only made one move, but it was a big one.
Numero 0.
Oh.
Or however...
Excuse me?
However, what's his name always calls him?
What's his name?
Yeah,
Mason?
Mason. His little intro for him.
I don't remember him calling him Numero 0.
Yeah, he calls him Numero 0.
Big
thunder around the rim.
Maybe I don't pay enough attention to Mason's introductions. I don't remember that. But, yeah, Andre Drummond is now a Cleveland Cavalier.
Welcome back, Brandon Knight.
Oh, God. Someone tweeted at me the video of DeAndre Jordan posterizing him. I'm like, dude, it's been like 2 minutes. You're already posting that video. Thanks, buddy.
When do the Pistons play the play the Nets? Or he's on the Nets, right? Wait, Knicks? Which team is he on? I forget.
Andre?
No,
DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan.
Nets. I think they're done already. They might play one more time, but I think they're done.
Well, plus he's injured anyway. Who cares?
Brandon Knight?
No, DeAndre Jordan.
Well, he's back.
Oh, he's back now?
Yeah, he's back now. But, anywho, yeah, Andre Drummond is the Cleveland Cavalier. I want to start with you because, obviously, when I first saw this trade happen, I mean, here's what happened with me, and then I'll send it off to you. I was sitting in class, okay? I have a 1 to 2:30 class. I was on my laptop like I usually am. But instead of taking notes like I usually do, I was on Twitter. And I kept on refreshing Twitter, and then I saw the Woj bomb around like 2:16-ish. I was in my seat. I was like...
You screamed at the top of your lungs, and your teacher turned around and said, "What the hell?"
I was like... I was like, it took everything in me not to be like, I'm leaving class. I gotta go.
I know you don't want to talk as much as possible, John, but just tell me what you're imagining when you... Like, if you're in class with Tony, and Tony goes, in the middle of class.
I didn't actually...
I'm immediately cringing.
I actually didn't make that noise, but...
He's fighting it.
After he just explained that he did.
As a joke.
I know, but it's funny.
This episode's theme is bullying Tony.
I'm here for it.
Why not? Yeah, no choice.
So, yeah, I was in class, I saw the tweet, and then the first thing I thought of was you. I'm like... He's probably sleeping because Troy, if you don't know, works nights. He's usually sleeping from the morning and usually parts of the afternoon too. I'm like, he's going to be sleeping, but the second he wakes up, he's going to just sprawl out on the floor and just...
And writhe in pleasure.
So, Troy, just tell me, when you first woke up, how did you see it? What happened? What was your reaction? And what continues to be your reaction right now?
I didn't get a chance for Twitter to break the news to me, actually, when I woke up.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but, like, what time did you wake up and actually see it?
4 o'clock.
Okay.
Which is a little late for my taste, but still pretty normal for me.
Well, you work nights. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. But, 4 o'clock, I woke up to my dad calling me.
Oh.
And he goes, "Did you hear, Drummond got traded?" And I was like, "No, I was sleeping, did he?" He's like, "Yeah, to Cleveland for a couple players and a second-round pick." I was like, "That's perfect. That's amazing. That's amazing." And I didn't I was trying not to even talk to him because I was so excited that I didn't even hear him on the phone anymore because I was like with my phone in my hand over here.
He's talking to you about something important now, and he's like, "Troy, you there?" You're just sitting there like...
He tells you, yeah, and also a couple of family members are sick. And I'm like, "Oh, what?" No, I don't know.
Yeah, someone's really sick, Troy. Yes. I mean, what?
Yes, Drummond's gone. I'll call you back later.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, I mean, you saw the trade. You're obviously really happy by it.
Oh, ecstatic.
there's a lot of people pissed off by this trade. So
Pistons slappies, all of them.
I don't know if they're necessarily Pistons slappies, because there are some people on Twitter who I wouldn't categorize as a Pistons slappy, and they're like,
And they're pissed off about it? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
It's because they didn't get the return that they were asking for.
there you
isn't it?
go. There you go. I was trying to
Guess what? The return that you got is better than anything Drummond would have given you in the next couple of years. Sure, it's a second-round pick. Sure, that pick probably won't be as good as Drummond. But guess what?
It won't. It's a 2023.
It's like 99% won't be as good as Drummond. But guess what? That pick isn't going to be money. Just shoved up your butts next year, just like Drummond would be. And guess what? We're in rebuilding. We don't need 20 rebounds a game. We don't need 20 points a game. We don't need his 2020s at all. We're trying to lose here, folks. We don't need a player like that. And frankly, he's too old to be part of a rebuild. So, goodbye, Drummond.
Well, he's not like an old fart. I mean,
No,
only
he's not an old
26,
fart, but if you have a 2-3 year rebuild, he's going to be 29, 30 years old. It's not.
No, I
get
get you. My thing with the Andre Drummond trade is not necessarily the fact that, the Pistons, it's better for them to lose this season. They didn't trade him for that. The Pistons did this trade simply because, who reported it? I think it was Kevin O'Connor, the Ringer. He said that the Pistons were starting to worry that he was going to opt into his close to $29 million player option. And that, as you alluded to, is something the Pistons cannot have.
Yeah.
They cannot allow that to happen.
And based on the amount of, need teams had for Drummond, I'm sure he probably would at that point. Knowing as much as the teams really wanted him, yeah.
Need.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't need him at all, so why would they pay him the money? So, of course, he'd want to come back to whatever team is paying him the money.
I mean, one of the reasons why the return for Andre was as little as it was is because what James Edwards of The Athletic tweeted out past 3 o'clock. According to his sources, which he's a guy you and me both trust, James said that basically there was no market. And this is something we already knew, but when James says it, again, he's someone we really trust. So, yeah, he tweeted, he was like, yeah, according to my sources, there was no one really interested. The market was not there, and the Pistons were never going to get anything anyway. I mean, I forget who brought this up on ESPN. It might have been Brian Windhorst, but it was Brian Windhorst on a PTI. He said it's a perfect example. I mean, look at the trade market just at this trade deadline from a center standpoint. Clint Capella, the Rockets literally said, we don't want Clint Capella. We'll go into the playoffs without a center. They're literally going to be running PJ Tucker out there at the center position. Dwayne Dedmon, the Kings traded him to Atlanta, and they added 2 second-round picks for the Hawks to take him.
They basically told Dwayne Dedmon, turn around and head back the way you came.
They attached 2 second-round picks to him. They basically begged Atlanta to take him. And with Andre Drummond, again, same thing. I mean, Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports tweeted at 10 a.m. that it looked like Andre was going to stay. And then he ended up going to Cleveland. So that tells me that these talks between the Cavs and the Pistons picked up just like that.
Yeah, and the Pistons were just ready to get rid of him at all costs.
The Pistons were just like, the news broke at past 2 o'clock. So it was probably around 1:50, 2 o'clock-ish, and the Pistons were like, listen, this is the best thing we're getting. Just F it. Because, like we said, the Pistons, if they feared that Andre was going to opt into his close to $29 million player option, no. The Pistons have made it very, very, very clear over the past month. They want to rebuild, and they didn't want to pay Andre that player option. They didn't want to re-sign him. They didn't want to pay his player option. They just wanted to move on. And while people might be upset at the return of Brandon Jennings, John Henson.
Brandon Knight.
I said Brandon Jennings, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said that already earlier today. Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a 2023 second-round pick. That's the lesser second-round pick by the Cavs in 2023. Even though that return is awful, I think it's better than possibly having that cloud hang around you that Andre's going to opt in next summer. Because if he would have opted in next summer, hypothetically, that would have been really, really, really bad for the Pistons. Because they wouldn't have money to spend, even if they wanted to. But now
here comes the big complaint that all the slappies and likewise are having. What are you going to use the money for? We're in rebuilding. Why would you ever pay somebody a bunch of money in a rebuild?
This is something that I'm seeing a lot of guys like Vince Ellis and Rod Beard allude to on Twitter. You don't necessarily clear all that cap space to go after somebody in free agency. I mean, you can still have a bunch of cap space to make trades, to take on bad contracts for assets like picks or something like that. Like, just because the Pistons open up all this cap space doesn't mean they're going to go give Freddie VanVleet $100 million. Even though that's like a popular rumor out there, I don't believe that to be true.
Yeah, here's something to take into consideration. The Pistons were in a rebuild in the early 2000s. In 2000, 2001, they were in a rebuild. They had Jerry Stackhouse. And they had and Grant Hill. Those two guys were huge black holes on their financial books. They traded them to give more cap space to trade for other players that would eventually get them out of the rebuild. Because obviously with those two players, they weren't going anywhere. They traded them away. They got cap space. And they were able to trade the assets they had remaining. And those two players, I mean, you can't trade Andre for assets because it's not the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
But they traded those two players for assets, and they got cap space to eventually get players like a Chauncey Billups, a Rip Hamilton, a Ben Wallace, a Rasheed Wallace.
There you go. That was the name I was looking for out of you. That was the most important one because it was via trade, obviously.
Yeah. All those were via trade.
Well, the Rasheed one really obviously put them over the top.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, the only player they really added via the draft was Tayshaun. Everybody else they built through a trade, and they had the cap space and assets, admittedly, to do it.
There you go. And, you know, like we said, obviously the return isn't sexy, but this still opens up cap space that also relieves a cloud that was going to hang over the Pistons' heads. Because like we mentioned, if Kevin O'Connor, listen, he's verified on Twitter. So his sources probably aren't wrong. If he's saying that the Pistons were worried about him actually opting in, though he's hinted all last offseason long that he was going to opt out, Ed Stefanski and the Pistons probably just like, no, Cleveland, here you go. God bless. We'll happily take Brandon Knight back. It's the reunion. He'll take Tim Frazier's solid 2 minutes a night.
We'll throw him in front of DeAndre every once in a while.
John Henson, I'm sure he'll probably get a minute share with like Thonmaker, probably. I don't know. And then obviously that second round draft pick's not going to mean jack bleep, but yeah. Who cares? I mean, Andre Drummond, Pistons are never going to re-sign him. And like we said, that cloud's not over their head anymore. The Pistons are now clearly heading in a direction that we know they're going in. Like, when that report came out from Chris Haynes that it looked like they were going to stand pat the trade deadline, Twitter erupted. I mean, my mentions were just blowing up. People were like, how do you defend this crap? This organization's a joke. They're worse than the Lions. I'm like, people, I don't work for the team, nor do I think they're a worse organization than the Lions. But there's a few hours here. Let's calm down and see if something actually happens, all right? And then obviously they traded Andre, and I tweeted, because a bunch of people were like, I don't think they're serious about rebuilding. That was something that people were telling me. I was like, so do you guys still think the Pistons aren't serious about rebuilding? And then people were like, I'm sorry, you're right. So, yeah, Andre, God bless. I don't know what the Cavs are doing.
I don't know. They got Andre and Tristan Thompson battling for center minutes now. I don't get it.
Just this season, Kevin Love, Andre, and Tristan Thompson are eating up like over $50 million. It's insane. And next season, Andre's probably going to opt in, you imagine.
Of course.
So between him and Kevin Love, if they aren't able to trade him again, that's like $40 million right there. It's just like, I mean, I understand Cleveland. They had nothing to lose here. They're already one of the worst teams in the league. It costs them a bag of peanuts to get Andre. Might as well get Andre and see what he can do to help the development of Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. I get all that, but like you still have Tristan Thompson. You weren't able to move him. You're not going to buy him out. It's just like, whatever. God bless. Thank you, Cleveland, for taking Andre Drummond.
Thank you very, very much.
I know that made Troy very happy. And it made a lot of people in Detroit very happy because Andre, it was time for both sides to move on. I mean, it just seemed like a big portion of the fan base just was ready to move on. It seemed like Andre was ready to move on too.
And the moment they actually do move on, everybody's like, no, we didn't mean it. We didn't mean it.
Yeah, like there was some, I don't know, like there were some guys on Twitter.
That annoys me.
There were some guys on Twitter who, it's just funny to me because like people all the time were like, trade Andre for anything. Trade him for scraps, trade him for peanuts, whatever. Then they actually trade him for peanuts. It's like, what the hell are the Pistons doing trading Andre for scraps? It's like...
They did exactly what you wanted them to do, okay? So I guess you should yell at yourself for not being a good GM.
Like, I know you saw my tweet because I remember you liked it. Like, yeah, like, oh, the Pistons... trade Andre for scraps. The Pistons trade Andre for scraps. The hell the Pistons doing? It's like, guys, you can't have it both ways, okay?
And let us be, I mean, we've already explained this, but I can't stress this enough. If Drummond would have stayed here and collected his paycheck for next year, it would have been the worst thing to happen, or that can happen for the Pistons going into this rebuild. And
it also would have hurt the Pistons, too, because of this season. It would have really pissed you off because there would be those games here and there when Andre drops a 20-20 and helps them win. Mm-hmm. But also, he would take minutes away from a guy like Christian Wood, who I tweeted this after the trade. The Pistons don't move Andre Drummond unless they really, really believe Christian Wood is a piece to keep around, which I think he is. I mean, Christian Wood has blossomed this year. Christian Wood turned from a guy who we didn't even know if he was going to make the roster because, it was him and Joe Johnson fighting for that final roster spot.
Yep.
His contract wasn't guaranteed. He balled out this year, or he is balling out currently, I should say. His contract is now guaranteed, and the Pistons literally just traded Andre freaking Drummond to give this guy more minutes. Yeah. So that tells you how confident the Pistons are in Christian Wood, which... Christians deserved it. I love C. Wood. He's a more modern center in today's NBA.
Oh, for sure.
He can shoot. He's got a good mid-range and three-point shot. Maybe not so much great defensively, especially compared to Andre, but...
I mean, we have John Henson, who at one point was a very good defensive center. So maybe he can at least train him a little bit in the arts of defense under the rim.
Shout out to my buddy Tyler Sawa, one of my co-hosts on Trash Talk. We went to the Pistons-Cavs game a couple nights ago, or a couple weeks ago, I should say. John Henson was getting minutes, and he was like, what the hell? I didn't even realize John Henson was still in the league. And like we were just roasting John Henson the entire night.
I think even we talked about that when we were talking about Atlanta Center, and I mentioned John Henson. You're like, is he still in the league?
Yes, a couple weeks ago, out of nowhere, you mentioned John Henson. I'm like, I remember him being good in like 2K16. now he's a Piston. God bless. He won't be a Piston for long though. Him and Brandon Knight. I'm going to do that way too much because they're both Brandon. They're both Piston point guards.
Don't worry. I've done that enough over the course of these 6 episodes of Aggressively Speaking. It's okay for you to mess up on one name.
They're not going to be here for long anyway. They're both unrestricted free agents this offseason.
Yeah, they'll be here for 2 months and then they'll be gone. God bless.
Also, God bless Tim Frazier. Yes. He got waived today. I hope he waved back. Okay, that's enough.
That was a dumb dad joke right there.
That's enough out of me. But, yeah, outside of Andre, though, Pistons didn't do anything.
Yeah, let's talk about the guys that are still here.
If the Pistons would not have traded Andre Drummond, I would have been fuming today. And you probably wouldn't have even shown up. Sure. You probably wouldn't have shown up.
You wouldn't have done this episode by yourself.
But the fact that the Pistons traded Andre, I'm fine with it. I mean, I shouldn't say I'm fine with it. I'm still up. I'm so confused how they didn't trade Langston Galloway and Markieff Morris. Like,
I think they're more focused on Drummond. That like taking calls on those two was kind of out of the picture at that point.
Well, then that's kind of a no on Ed Stefanski. Then I mean, you should be taking calls on multiple people.
Yeah.
But like Langston Galloway, our video that we made at the time of recording this yesterday, our deadline preview, we asked the question to start the video: who's the most likely Piston to go? We both agreed Langston.
Yeah.
Expiring contract, statistically one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA, and it doesn't seem like he got any interest, which just blows my mind. But
I mean, if you look at the landscape of the trade deadline, there were quite a few shooters available. Langston wasn't the only one.
But those guys didn't even get traded. Like JJ Redick, like no one, like the Bucks were looking for a perimeter shooter. They didn't trade for anybody.
And that, that should make you even less surprised that he didn't get traded, because if these other shooters that are as good, if not arguably better than Langston, didn't get traded, then I'm not surprised whatsoever that he didn't.
I mean, when I woke up this morning and saw that the Warriors traded GR3 and Alec Burks to the Sixers for a couple second-round picks, I'm like, okay, Milwaukee, it's your turn. Trade a second for Langston. But, like, no, they didn't trade anybody. But, I mean, I guess now that he's here, I can bring up what Rod Beard wrote in his article in the Detroit News. I mean, at least Langston's a good guy to have in a young locker room, I guess. Like, you would have hated if I said that, like, last week, but now that he's still here, what else am I supposed to say? I mean, they didn't trade him, and it doesn't seem like the interest was there either. Like, throughout the entire deadline period, we weren't hearing Langston Galloway's name at all, and like I said, that just really, really confused me.
I think it confuses me a little bit. I think the Pistons were focused more on trading like a Andre or a Luke than they were about trading Marquis for Langston. But yeah, it does confuse me a little bit, but this whole trade deadline is very confusing.
The market was so slow.
Yeah, the market was slow. You had like the first 4-team trade in like the history of the game. I know it might not be, but
no, that trade
seems like it.
It was the messiest trade of all time. I'll say that.
Oh, for sure. And I even saw a tweet, I forget who it was by, that in light of that trade happening between the Rockets, Nuggets, and whoever the hell else. It might have been like 6 other teams, who knows, and we just didn't get filled in on the rest of it. But they had another 4-team trade where they were basically trading every single player to each other's team.
That's insane.
It's like,
yeah.
Okay, I guess that works.
Yeah, that 4-team deal was crazy. But yeah, the market was slow this year, and it was kind of slow for almost the entire Pistons roster.
Yeah.
I mean, just not even Langston Galloway. I mean, Markieff Morris, we saw a report from The Ringer yesterday that over 5 teams are interested in him, but yet no one pulled the trigger on him. Don't know what happened there. I've been trying to look for articles to see, like, does anyone have any stories seeing what happened here? I wasn't able to find anything. I mean, I can't imagine the Pistons asking price was like through the roof for Markieff Morris.
Now, I've been so focused on the Pistons trade deadline, I haven't really gotten a good look at the rest of the league. Did they end up trading Marcus Morris?
Marcus Morris went to the Clippers.
Okay. So maybe I could have sworn like the same teams were looking at both brothers. And I think if
Lakers, Clippers, Celtics, yeah.
And I think, knowing what we know now, I think the Clippers were most interested in Markieff, and because they got Marcus, trade talks for Markieff probably just ended there.
Well, no, the Clippers and Lakers were actually really focused on Marcus Morris. The hot rumor was that if they couldn't get Marcus, their fallback would have been Markieff for a cheaper price, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Lakers didn't do jack anything at the deadline. But, Markieff, he really didn't get interest, it looks like. Derrick Rose, I kind of teased you with this before we went on air. I read from Vince Ellis today that the reason the Pistons did not trade him was, quote, not injury related. According to Vince Ellis, not a lot of teams made... I don't think... Let me try to find the exact quote so I don't, screw it up and,
I don't even think I heard your exact reason. I think when you were starting to tease me on it, I think I just shrugged it off as, I know, he's Ed Stefanski's boy.
No, that's not it. Until I find Vince Ellis' article and find the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing here. It had to do with the market just not being there. I was talking about this yesterday on Twitter. I haven't heard anyone make an offer for Derrick Rose. Like, usually whenever a team makes an offer, it leaks out. Like, like earlier this morning.
Like with Luke a couple of days ago.
Just this morning, James Edwards reported that the Celtics made an offer for Christian Wood and the Pistons declined it. Like, usually that stuff leaks out, but we heard nothing that anyone made any type of offer for Derrick Rose. So,
Could it be that the Pistons didn't make him available?
No, Derrick was available. It just doesn't seem like, okay, I can't find it. Vince Ellis quote tweets all of his comments, and I was scrolling for forever and I couldn't find it. But yeah, I'm basically paraphrasing here because I can't find the actual quote. But yeah, it doesn't seem like the market was really there, which again surprises me because Derrick.
That does surprise me.
Derrick was statistically, before he got hurt, unfortunately, he was having a really, really good season. And if the biggest reason you thought there was no trade interest, and me and probably everybody too, is because of the injury.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it was injury related. It just seems like there's no one really making an offer, which again surprises me. But I think it just goes to show you maybe we were overvaluing the Pistons' assets just a teensy-weensy bit, including Derrick Rose.
You think?
Just a teensy-weensy bit.
You think when you were expecting a first-round pick for Drummond, that's when you knew you were overvaluing somebody.
Well, I still stand by that. I would have liked to have gotten a first-round pick like a month ago, not now.
Yeah, I think a month ago you probably could have, honestly, if you would have been asking for the right first-round pick or from the right team, but... I digress.
Now, Derrick Rose, I stand firm by this. I wanted a first-round pick for him. Maybe not lottery first-round pick, like the rumor says the Pistons initially wanted.
That's just crazy.
No, I don't know why that's actually a thing, because anyone interested in D Rose won't be in the lottery. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Is there any teams that hold a lottery pick that are playoff bound?
No, not that I can think of. I don't know where that came from, but...
I'm trying to think if there is one.
I imagine the Pistons would have taken just a first, probably, for Derrick Rose.
Maybe
But
they're trying to trade him to, like, the Nets or something that were, like, borderline playoff. And
I don't know. I don't know where lottery first-round pick came from, but... Yeah, according to Vince Ellis, again, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically reported it doesn't seem like the market was really there. And it goes back to what I said a couple days ago. Are we sure people actually made offers for Derrick? Because nothing has leaked out. You know, like I said, stuff usually leaks out like, oh, the Celtics made an offer for Christian Wood. Oh, the Suns and Pistons are talking about Luke Kennard. Nothing leaked about Derrick Rose outside of interest. So, I don't know. I'm just glad it's not injury related, because that could have been an easy tipping point to be like, shame on you, Pistons. You gave him more minutes like he asked and he got hurt.
Yeah.
But it wasn't injury related, so we can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was ready to basically
Game
of Thrones.
I know you were.
Shame bell is at their asses.
Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, if it would have turned out that teams were like, well, he's hurt. No. Then I would have been like, damn it. Like, come on. Like, we all knew this was going to happen. You gave him more minutes, which if he asked for the minutes, upgrade, there's nothing you can really do there, but it's Derrick Rose. Like, you have to be careful, Dwayne.
Really tread on water.
You have to be careful. And if they weren't careful, he's hurt now, but the fact that the trade market didn't die down because of the injury, it takes another cloud away from the Pistons. Because, like I said, that could have been an easy, like, damn you, Pistons. You played him, you hurt him, and you hurt his trade value. But that's not the case, apparently, so that's good.
Yeah.
But
it does make me really reconsider why he's not participating in the...
That's injury related.
That's injury related?
Not Shams. Someone tweeted that it was injury related. But I mean, I trust Vince Ellis.
Yeah.
He's saying it's not injury related from the trade market. So
Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure more reports will come out over the next couple of days, like most reports already have now. So
yeah.
We'll
Maybe
see.
it was just threat of injury that people weren't really interested in Derrick.
I don't know. I've been trying to think about it all day. Maybe? Like, he's on a great contract. He's only making $7.5 million.
Yeah, he's making bench minutes for a guy that can score 30 a night if he wanted to.
Right. I mean, and if you need to play him in crunch time, just barely play him in the first half, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was the threat of injury. Maybe the Pistons' asking price was too high. I don't know.
I think the asking price might have been a little too high. I mean, sure, he's playing out of his mind, but he's also he's past the age of 30, and he's got injury history, serious injury history. And I think the Pistons might have been, with that leak out there that they're asking for a lottery pick. I think that their asking price might have been a little too high, and it scared teams away from even making an offer.
Well, I still stand by this. I still think the Pistons would have accepted a first-round pick regardless. But, I don't know. It's something interesting to think about. Anywho, though, anything else that you want to talk about the Pistons? Maybe the direction going forward now that they're kind of in rebuild mode now?
I do want to talk about the direction going forward, but I also, before we get completely off the topic, I want to give my condolences to Tom Goris, who just lost his best friend today, Andre Drummond.
Oh.
He lost him to Cleveland.
Someone tweeted the video today of the FSD interview where Tom Goris interrupted it. He gave Andre a hug. He's like, "That was big." Like the awkward,
big.
the awkward pat on the shoulder.
Pats Andre's shoulder hair.
His shoulder hair. Disgusting. So, yeah, let's talk about the direction of the Pistons, I guess, now. It's pretty clear what direction they're in.
Yeah, they're trying to win 20 games next year. I think it's clear.
Yeah, well, I don't know about next year. This year, I think they're definitely going to try to be like, they're not tanking. Let's kill that bird right now. They're not tanking.
They're like mid tanking. They're like half tanking.
You don't trade Andre Drummond if you're in a playoff push. Let me say that.
Yeah. And yeah, by trading Drummond, you're half tanking. Like, you are trying to not only get the money off your books, you don't want that production on a team that's not supposed to win games.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the halfway point. Like, full tanking would be, all right, we're trading Rose, we're trading Luke, we're trading Drummond, any player that can go off at any moment.
Full tank would have been that, but the Pistons, they're not full tanking, but they're also not like in a playoff push.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's very clear that they're in a rebuild now. They're going to have, very likely, because this team was garbage with Andre, I can't imagine they'll be better without him. They're going to have probably within the top 10 lottery odds.
Oh, hopefully, they're currently sitting at number 7, correct?
7 or 8, yes.
7 or 8. So, I mean, now that they lost production from their center, hopefully they move down to 5, 6, 4, something like that.
I think if you could get to like 5 or 6, I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm also not complaining about like 7 or 8. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I think 4 to 6 is the perfect
Yeah.
sweet spot for the NBA draft.
Like, you're not going to get to 1, 2, or 3. The Hawks, Knicks, and Cavs are just gutter trash. Like, just leave them be. They deserve the number 1 or 2 pick.
Well, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying if you go into that 4 to 6 range, the lottery usually takes those teams to the top 3.
You can leap in the top 4 if you're sitting at 11. I mean,
yeah, true. There's a possibility, but like I said, those 4 to 6 teams,
No, I got you.
those
It's a better chance.
always seemingly get into the top 3.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, again, the Pistons aren't going to tank, but this team sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I know one of your biggest gripes, if they actually weren't able to trade anybody, was that they're going to win some games they shouldn't, and that's still going to happen. I mean, they're not going to lose out.
Yeah, they're going to win the occasional game, but
They're
at this
gonna-
point, it's going to be a lot slower of a...
Nights like last night against Phoenix, at the time of recording this, those are going to happen from time to time. But this team, I can't imagine is going to go on like a 3-game win streak. I mean, I think they have one of the hardest remaining schedules in the NBA.
Yeah, I got that tweeted at me, surprisingly.
Who?
A couple people... Who?
Who?
No, it was after we talked about it.
Oh, I thought you said someone tweet at you. I was like,
Yeah,
who
no, it
tweeted?
was after somebody after we talked about it on the podcast. Somebody tweeted
that's right.
their schedule at me.
Yep. Yep, that's right. Yeah.
saying he's gonna like this. Or no, it was after we went to
Pistons
the
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have one of the worst remaining schedules in the NBA. And even when they had one of the easiest schedules to start the season, this team was still bad. They were hurt, but this team was still bad.
Yeah, going through their easiest part of the schedule, they are still the 7th worst team in the league. So
Yeah. Like, this team's bad. They're going to lose a lot of games to close out the season. And there's going to be a lot of losing throughout the next few years as well. I mean, just look at this
ready for it.
Look at this off season. Reggie's off the books. Langston's off the books. Josh Smith is off the books. Had to throw him in there.
I can't wait until Josh Smith is off our team.
Brandon Knight, John Henson, they're off the books.
Yep.
So Pistons are going to have a lot of cap space this offseason, but again, doesn't mean they're going to spend it all. Just means they're going to have that cap space.
And look at the guys that are still going to be here next year. You got Derek, you got Luke, Christian Wood.
I don't think it's guaranteed Derek or Luke are here next year.
You don't think that? You think they're going to try and push them in the offseason?
I think Luke especially is a name to watch in the offseason. I mean, the Pistons, Woj
was in love with Luke Kennard.
Woj tweeted, the text of his tweet made it seem like they were close. I mean, just the way he worded it. Let me try to find Woj's tweet. I mean, the way he worded it, it just seemed like they were so close on a trade for Luke Kennard.
While you look for that, I want to talk about
Well, hold on. I'm going to pull it up
Well, I know, but you guys better start looking at this draft as if there are a ton of talent, because all these tweets I'm seeing, all these comments and everything else about how this draft isn't talented, isn't deep, and how it's weak, and I think that is one of the worst takes an NBA fan can have about any draft.
I haven't studied the draft class like I usually do.
Yeah.
It's too early, so I can't answer that.
People that say that, they only rely on other people's opinions on the draft, and almost every time a person's opinion on whether or not a player is going to be good at the NBA level is almost always wrong.
Keep going if you're going to say something.
No, it's just I always reference this when I see this tweet. It's the 2013 draft. Giannis, Steven Adams, Dennis Schroeder, Victor Oladipo. They all came from that draft. And when people first saw the draft back in 2013, they're like, "Oh wow, there's like 2 players that could actually be worth anything in this draft." And then you look at, how deep that draft actually went. People need to stop hating on draft picks before the draft even starts. Like, people thought of this past year's draft as Zion and Scrubs.
Well, Zion, Ja, and Scrubs. Yes.
And
top heavy was the word.
Yeah, very top heavy. And I think you're starting to see that.
Which,
as a Piston fan, you better shut your mouth then. As much as you guys like Sekou, you guys got to realize this draft wasn't so top heavy. That, or you say to yourself, Sekou is not that good, but I don't think you're willing to say either one. So
last year's draft was top heavy, but I think it's unfair to the incoming prospects to say that this draft class is weak, because any prospect can develop into something.
Exactly.
So, but anywho, I found the tweet. Like I said, the text from Woj, it just seemed like they were so close. Detroit and Phoenix are discussing a deal centered on guard Luke Kennard. These sources tell ESPN. Suns' first-round pick is in play. Kennard has missed 22 straight games with bilateral knee tendonitis. Him using the word centered indicates that Phoenix only wanted Luke. So that tells you it wasn't going to be like Andre and Luke. It was Luke going there. And also, the fact that they were already discussing the Suns' first-round pick, that tells you that they're like in deep talks. So
do you think like draft day, Suns are on the clock? You think there's going to be a trade for him?
I don't know if the Suns make sense because of Jeff Bauer. I mean, that's just a simple truth. Jeff Bauer wants Luke Kennard on the Suns. I don't know. I think Luke Kennard. I don't think it's a guarantee he's here next year. And I love Luke, but we talked about this before, and I've said it on Twitter too. If the Pistons get a real good offer for Luke, you have to take it.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. You're in a rebuild now. You can't hold feelings for guys anymore.
No,
So
I don't think you can at all.
unless it's Savianoslav.
Then you can have as much feelings as you want.
That's my new favorite Pistons, Savianoslav. Love that guy. His hip exploded, of course, because every Piston's dying this year. But off topic, why are all of our teams hurt? Every single one of them has had a real bad injury year. Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, Tigers, who knows?
The Tigers' injury is lack of talent.
Any hoops. Yeah. I don't think it's a guarantee Luke's here next year. I really don't know if it's a guarantee D Rose is here, but I tend more towards Luke than D Rose.
I have a feeling if no teams were ready to offer him anything during this trade deadline, I doubt that they're willing to offer much more during the offseason.
Luke or Derek?
Derek.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he'll be a year older.
No, the fact that Luke was freaking two sentences away from getting traded this trade deadline, I think, it's very possible.
In the span of 24 hours, the reports leaked that Luke Kennard was available, and then obviously the Woj bomb that they were close to making that deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the Pistons are done making moves throughout the next couple of years, obviously, but that's what you do in a rebuild. It sucks that yet another team from Detroit is in a rebuild. That makes all 4 of our major sports teams in a rebuild.
No, not the Lions. Lions free.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna make that comment
There you
and
go.
leave it.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, with the way things in this city are going, I think the best thing that could happen to this city as far as sports go is that all teams are in the rebuild. Because if teams were trying to win and were just failing, that's 10 times worse.
I mean, listen, I sound like a broken record at this point, but it's the truth. I mean, it sucks now, but look at what we could be looking at in the summer. Lions number 3 pick. Tigers number 1 pick. Wings, I pray to Jesus that we get the number 1 pick. The Red Wings are so bad.
And same thing for the Pistons.
And the Pistons, like we said,
Pray to Jesus they get the number 1.
No, not even. They don't even have to get the number 1 pick. If the Pistons are in that 4 to 6 or 7 range, I'm completely fine. Completely fine.
You wouldn't.
We just agreed to that 5 minutes ago.
No, I mean, yeah, no. If they finish as the 4th to 6th worst team in the league.
Well, even if they still
That's
get
what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but even if they still get the 4th to 6th pick, I'm still fine. That's still a top 6 pick. That's fine with me.
Okay.
If they don't win the lottery, I'm not going to be all pissed off. I'm fine if they get the 6th pick.
Yeah, who is their last top 6 pick that they've ever had? Because I know Drummond, Brandon Knight, KCP, all these were 7th to 12th picks.
When did we take Stanley? 8?
8.
Andre was what, 8 too?
8.
I don't know. That's a good trivia.
Brandon Knight was 7. KCP was 9.
The circle is complete with Brandon Knight.
Yeah. We traded our 2012 pick for the 2011 pick.
Oh my god. And then we also traded for a top pick in 2016. So God bless. By the way, this is sparkling water, not alcohol. Troy thought it was alcohol.
Yeah, I had to double take because he walked in from his car with that.
It's Pellegrino. It's sparkling water from, I think, Italy. I think so.
Flavor. What's the flavor on that bad boy?
I think it's just the plain flavor. It's from
Plain?
Italy. I can confirm it's from Italy.
Wait, does sparkling plain tasting water taste good?
It tastes pretty good.
Huh.
I mean, they have lemon and strawberry and stuff, which is good too, but this is simple. Anywho, before the audience leaves.
Want to move on to the Michigan State news?
I feel like there's another thing I want to mention with the Pistons, but before I start talking about Pellegrino, I got lost. Let me see if it comes back to my mind. I don't think it will. But to close out the Pistons talk, I mean, again, it's clear what direction they're heading in now. And though this should have happened probably previously, they're at it now. So
Let's get one of the 2 Anthonys into this town.
Anthony Edwards and who?
Cole Anthony. One of those two.
I
They're both guards. They're both at the top of the draft. Let's get it.
I like to do homework on all the draft prospects in any sport, so I know in case we draft someone that wasn't projected to us, I know what's going on.
Get ready to do your homework on that top 10, boy.
I am. But just from early indications, I don't know if Cole Anthony hasn't played much in UNC, so I don't know that much about him. But I'll tell you a name that I do like.
Ball.
No. I do like LaMelo, but Nico Manning, I think he goes to Arizona, point guard. I like him.
You like him too?
Yeah.
I'm ready to just draft any top 10 guard in the league or at this in the draft at this point.
Watch him take a center.
We need somebody to replace Drummond's.
Yeah, Christian Wood. I know.
productivity.
Christian Wood. I know we just signed you to a 3-year, $36 million contract, but welcome James Wiseman. I mean, that's no disrespect to James Wiseman. He's going to be a stud, but he's also going like number 1. So, yeah, Pistons are rebuilding now. It was long overdue, but it's finally happening. Let's see where this goes. And I also do trust Ed Stefanski. With his draft record, I think he has proven that he can draft. It's very, very short. It's a short timetable, but just look at his draft picks. Just
Bruce Brown.
Just Bruce and Sekou alone just has me convinced that he actually knows what he's doing. And not to mention he traded for Seville for Reggie Bullock.
I know you're still excited about Sekou. I'm still holding out on whether or not he's good or not.
Well, he's still really, 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 really young. He's still the youngest player in the NBA.
True.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of upside to Sekou.
I do see the upside. There are very big.
Yeah.
There are big flickers. And when we had this argument a couple weeks ago, I'm not saying I didn't see the upside. I'm just saying there are, things that this city has gotten on the bandwagon for that the bandwagon has quickly crashed into a wall.
No, and it turns out that you were really right about that because Sekou hit the brick wall right after that. Maybe you jinxed him, so screw you.
No, maybe.
But no, I like Sekou's upside. I think just Sekou's upside alone gives hope for the Pistons' future, and that's why I give credit to Stefanski for making that pick. And then again, you look at the guys he traded for, not to cut you off, but he traded Reggie Bullock to the Lakers last year for Sviatoslav, and he's obviously a rising star.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to the Rising Stars game. Whether he'll play in that or not, we'll see because his hip exploded, unfortunately. Get better, Seville. I love you. But he signed Christian Wood, who's obviously going to be a piece for the future, and he actually pulled the trigger on the Andre Drummond trade. So I trust that Stefanski. Let's see what he does.
How much arm tellem do you think was involved?
I think Arn Tellem had a lot to do with the Derrick Rose deal, not necessarily anybody else. Because Derrick Rose came here because of Arn Tellem. Those two are really close. Yeah. And I feel like the reason Derrick Rose wants to stay here has a lot to do with Arn Tellem. And I get that. Those two are really close. But at the same time, the Pistons also made it clear, hey, anyone's available. Mm-hmm. So if we find the right deal, Derrick, listen, we'll trade you. And apparently, according to Vince Ellis, like we mentioned already, I guess that deal wasn't there. But should be very interesting to see what happens. But with that, that's enough Pistons talk for now. On to Michigan State.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
The bombshell dropped a couple days ago. Again,
February 4th.
I was at school, just got out of the same class I was in when the Andre trade broke. And I got out of class, I checked Twitter really quickly, and I saw a few unverified accounts talking about the rumors that Mark Dantonio was going to retire. And I'm like, wow, this kind of came out of nowhere. That's interesting. Let's see if that turns into anything. 5 minutes later, I'm in my car driving home. Someone tweets at me. Shout out to Draft Season. He's a big Lions guy. He quote tweeted the Mark Dantonio letter. He's like, yo, where's Tony Dabrowski on this? Because it was like 5 minutes after he tweeted it. I'm like, whoa. So I literally went into like the parking lot of the local Dunkin' Donuts, got a coffee, and I was like, what the hell? So, yeah, Mark Dantonio, he actually stepped down.
Yeah, as the resident Michigan State guy. Between the two of us, what is your full opinion?
Did you see my video at all?
Let's just act like I haven't and that everybody else hasn't, and just give us your thoughts.
So here's my thoughts on Mark Dantonio stepping down. Everybody knows I wanted this to happen. It's not a big secret. I was hoping for this to happen. No one's disputing the fact that Mark Dantonio will probably be the best coach Michigan State football is ever going to have. I mean, the run that he had was spectacular. Even though the final 4 years were a complete dumpster fire, and even though we'll talk about it here, I really don't like the way he left. He'll still go down as one of the best coaches that program's ever going to have. Probably the best. Yes. Build him the statue. God bless Mark. I wish you the best in retirement. But just because of that doesn't mean I can't have questions about this. I mean, I wasn't aware of this when he first tweeted the letter, but I wasn't aware about the Curtis Blackwell allegations that were tweeted out that same day, 15 minutes before he tweeted that letter. I wasn't aware of the loan in his contract that guaranteed him an extra $4.3 million if he stayed past January. It just didn't feel like a ride-off into the sunset for me, like it should have. Like
it felt like the last 4 years instead of the first 8.
Mm-hmm. Like, what would have been perfect for Mark is if after the Pinstripe Bowl, maybe even a couple weeks afterwards, he was like, "My time has come. I'm leaving.
Sayonara."
Yeah, that would have been right off into the sunset. I would have had fuzzy feelings. I would have been like, good for Mark. It ended rocky, but good for him. Right off into the sunset.
Yep.
This wasn't a right off into the sunset for me. I have more questions than answers. The fact that he tweeted that letter 15 minutes after the Curtis Blackwell allegations dropped, the fact that it seems like he kind of got his money and ditched is kind of questioning. The fact that he bounced the day before National Signing Day, which, as we all predicted, cost the Spartans a few signees, a few recruits. That's a big question mark to me. The fact that he left on February 4th, like that, I just like how that's so late in the process.
Yeah,
like
all the other coaching prospects have already been swept up.
Like, we'll talk about this in a second here. Like, Luke Fickell is a hot name to be the next guy, Cincinnati's current head coach. Even if Michigan State hires him, which I would be, we'll talk about in a second here, I'd be thrilled if that happened. But even if Michigan State gets him,
Cincinnati's now, like,
he'll barely
to the party.
Well, no, he'll barely have any time to actually fill out his staff and get his own recruits in here.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, I don't know. I just didn't like the timing. I didn't like the way it happened. I didn't like the fact that he tweeted it instead of having a press conference, even though he had a press conference, at 6:30 at night. So, like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like a ride-off into the sunset for me.
Yeah. As a
Michigan fan.
As a Michigan fan.
Tell me how you feel.
I'm sad to see him go.
Oh, baloney. Stop lying to me.
After 4 years of beating his ass, I'm sad to see him go.
Stop lying to me.
Well, I mean, as a sports fan in general, having a name like Mark Dantonio was pretty nice to have in this state. I think any coach that Michigan State has after him is going to really have to build up their own reputation and stuff from, coming off the high of having Mark Dantonio. I think the way he went out was very shady. I don't have an issue with the money portion like you do. I think, I think if he would have left in December, he would have still gotten that money regardless.
I don't have a problem with the money as much as I do with it looking like he kind of took the money.
It's coincidental with the allegations that came out around the same time, at the very least.
It doesn't seem like a coincidence that he's leaving a couple weeks after that bonus went through. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe he stayed for the bonus. I think he was going to get it regardless. I don't think Michigan State was going to lions him and leave his money off the table.
No, he still would have gotten that bonus, but you get my point. It just seems kind of fishy that he left a couple weeks after he got the bonus. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is...
No, I get your point.
Yeah.
I get your point.
Money's not the issue here. What is the issue?
It's not the biggest issue.
Is that it's right in line with the allegations.
That's my biggest issue.
Yeah.
It's just, it's fishy.
Yeah. The allegations obviously there were prior allegations back in 2017 that I won't get into now, but yeah, there were issues in the past between both him and Izzo that, I mean, they've both been proven correct about, at least as far as we're concerned up to this point. But yeah, there are more allegations now. There's a lawsuit, and it came out just prior to him releasing this letter. And it just seems so fishy, especially with the history of Michigan State and their, issues off the field.
Let's not talk about that. That's a bad situation.
I mean, it's part of the story.
No, I know.
Hard not to talk about it.
I know.
But yeah, like I said, I won't dive into what the issues are, and I don't want to get into it. But yeah, it's seriously terrible timing, and I think he should have at least given more time to talk about these. At least shoot him down if that's what he wants to do, but just mention it more than I think what he did even in his
press conference. Yeah,
and
I was going to mention that, but
yeah, I think it does a disservice to everybody that he didn't stick around to acknowledge it, either just during the press conference or just in general as the head coach. And it does a disservice to the school that they're now stuck with having to deal with this and also deal with the head coaching search. I think it's just a very, very poor way to go out in very poor timing.
I agree. It's just fishy. It's really fishy to me. But it was time to move on anyway. I mean, the last 4 years in Michigan State, he was literally burning the program he built to the ground. I mean, between the 3-9 year in 2016, the outlier in 2017, that's fine. But, 2018, kind of an up and down year. Then last year, God help us. Last year was when I knew, okay, it's time to move on. Like 2018, I was kind of feeling like it might be time. But last year, obviously, I made it well known on Twitter. I was like, I am done. Like, I love Mark, build the statue, but I am finished. He is burning the program he built into the ground. He can't recruit like he used to. It's hurting the program already. And it was just time to move on. It really was.
Now, I mean, Harbaugh, next year, dude, do the same thing, just a little earlier. Please.
You want him to walk away?
I want him to leave. Get the hell out of here. Go.
That's your problem. That's your problem. I hope he stays.
Oh, I bet you do.
I hope he stays. I also hope he stays to have a little rivalry with Luke Fickell. Let's get into that. Coaching candidates. As soon as Mark retired, there was a lot of speculation of who the next head coach could be.
Pat Shurmur.
The Broncos OC? No, thank you. He already got a new job. No. Pat Narduzzi's name was thrown out there, and he shot that down quickly. He tweeted the Wolf of Wall Street video on his Twitter.
I'm not going anywhere. That's funny.
I'm not leaving. Yeah. Yeah, Pat Narduzzi is not going anywhere. You had Robert Saleh's name flown out there, which that was a pipe dream. That was never happening. But the one consistent name that's still being thrown out there is Luke Fickell. It seems like that's a Spartans guy, and Luke's been asked about it. National Signing Day was yesterday. He was asked about it. He didn't shoot it down. He was like, yeah, me and Mark are really close. I was shocked by this. We talk all the time with each other. And no one from Michigan State has talked to me. He didn't say I'm Cincinnati's head coach. He didn't say I'm a Bearcat. None of that. He's like, Michigan State didn't talk to me. So it sounds like there could be mutual interest there. I don't know. I'm just here to speculate. We'll see. But Luke Fickell's my guy. I mean, this is someone who he's proven at Cincinnati. He might be Mark Dantonio Jr. Coming from Cincy, former Ohio State assistant, defensive guy. He has Ohio roots, so he's good recruiting in Ohio. He's a good recruiter in general. I mean, just this past National Signing Day, Cincinnati had, I think, their best recruiting period in program history. So he can recruit the hell, especially out of Ohio.
There you go.
But this is the thing I love about Luke Fickell, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I want him in Michigan State. He hates Michigan with a passion. It's a known fact that he hates Michigan. I feel like he would come here and just instantly just boost that rivalry.
Oh,
And that's why despite what you want, I would like to see Jim Harbaugh stay. Though Luke would probably start his Michigan State tenure with an 0-2 record against Michigan, probably. I feel like once he starts to get his guys in here, I think Michigan State could be off and running again.
See,
I like Luke Fickell a lot.
Here's the thing, though. College football, especially in this state, thrives on these rivalries. I think it's a very one-sided rivalry when it comes to both the Michigan-Ohio State and Michigan-Michigan State rivalry. I think even Michigan winning, I think it's still one-sided in Michigan State's favor because Michigan State treats it like an actual game. Michigan does not, like Harbaugh especially, does not care about rivalries.
They don't look at Michigan State as their rival.
Yeah, in the Ohio State rivalry, they just think, "Oh, we're going to go in and win." Even if they have a very insignificantly lesser team. It's they don't treat rivalries seriously. That's why I want Harbaugh gone. I think the rivalries need to be two-sided again.
Well, at least
That's why I don't want him here.
At least if State gets Luke Fickell, you don't have to worry about Michigan State losing that edge. Luke Fickell is going to be like, he'll wake up on Michigan,
for sure.
and he'll be like, "Let's go whoop that ass."
You know what? You know what? If Michigan State wins their rivalry game next year, this coming year,
oh my God, I would be sprawled out on this floor for the pod episode. I'd be like, yeah.
hopefully that would be the final nail in the coffin for Harbaugh. It's like, wow, he can't even beat this Michigan State team with a brand new head coach.
Loses to Luke
get the hell
Fickell.
out of here.
Loses to Fickell year one.
Yeah.
Oh, I would just. I would lose it. Like you trade with the Pistons Andre trade this morning. I would just lose it.
You'd be me sprawled out on the floor, just writhing.
I'm spilling. I'm overflowing. But yeah, Luke Fickell's my guy. He's always been my guy. Don't give me this Pat Narduzzi stuff. Don't give me any former assistants under Dantonio. No. I want Luke Fickell. I think it's Luke Fickell or bust from Michigan State. I really do. I can't think of anyone else who would take the job. You'll see Urban Meyer be thrown out there, but that ain't happening. Though I'd be sprawled out on the floor also if they somehow pulled that off.
That'd be wild to see Urban Meyer in green and white.
Could you imagine though? Oh, I hate Urban Meyer, but Jesus, I would be like, oh, I hate Urban Meyer. I love Urban Meyer. But no, that's obviously not happening. No. Luke Fickell, it's Fickell or bust for me.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's the only name that's legitimately being flown out there, and I think that's the only name they're interested in at the moment.
Let me ask you this, as a Michigan fan. Let's say Michigan State hires him tomorrow. What's your reaction? Are you like, oh damn, or are you like, whatever?
I'm more on the second portion on the ladder. Because it's like, okay. Maybe if they would have been in a coaching search a lot sooner, they might have had their full selection. And if Luke Fickell was still the option, then I would have been more impressed with the hire.
Maybe not this year, but just from a futuristic standpoint, what would you look at a potential Luke Fickell hiring?
It's more...
seeing what he's doing at Cincinnati.
I mean, can he bring the same thing to Michigan State? It's the Big Ten. It's going to be a lot harder for him to succeed in that conference. He's going up against a Penn State, a Michigan, and an Ohio State. He's
I'm not worried about Penn State.
They've been better than you guys in the past.
And we still whoop their ass almost every year.
I'm just saying. Even not head-to-head, but just conference record-wise.
That's fine. James Franklin. Okay.
But still, you're now in a four-way race to the top.
Which that's the way it should be, though.
Yeah, and it's not, that wasn't the same way that it was with Cincy. So I think he's got a lot more competition. He's joining a terrible situation. In all honesty, he's
not thanks to Mark.
Yeah, thanks to Mark.
Yeah.
He has burned this down, and now the guy's just he walks into a pile of ashes. And I think he's got to
back up.
He's got to build it back up, and he's got some work to do. That's for sure.
No denying that.
And as a Michigan fan, we'll see. We'll see if he's actually able to pull it off, or if he can't, and Michigan State just stays at 5-8,
No,
or 6-7, whatever.
7-6.
I'm just saying.
They went 7-6 last year.
I know, but with the lack of recruits and
No,
stuff, I'm expecting 5-8.
No, next year they're going to be god awful. Even if they hire Luke Fickell, they're not doing anything next year. Even if Mark came back, they weren't going to do anything.
No.
Like last year's team to this year, they're losing a bunch of stars on both sides of the ball. Just offensively, Brian Lewerke gone, Cody White gone, and then defensively, Kenny gone, Raekwon gone, David Dow gone, Josiah, Jobachi, so on and so forth. This is so many guys that either graduate or went to the NFL. So they're going to be bad anyway. It's a rebuilding year for them.
Yep.
I'm really looking at, again, if they hire Luke Fickell 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, that's when I'll really start to see, once he starts to get his guys in here, what the future outlook will be for him.
And don't Michigan fans start with the whole Michigan State fans were giving us shit for giving Harbaugh 4 years, but yet they want 4 years for Fickell. It's not the same. Michigan is expected to have these great recruits. They're expected to have 5-star recruits and just go into every season with a top 2 expectation in the conference. Michigan State is literally sitting on a pile of ashes. You have to give them more time. So I don't want to hear this at all from Michigan fans.
We actually get to use the time argument.
Yeah. Seriously.
Jim Harbaugh walked into a bunch of NFL recruits that Brady had.
Yes.
So
Yeah, he doesn't get 4 years.
Luke Fickell's walking in with probably Rocky Lombardi as his starting quarterback. Oh God, Rocky, God bless.
Oh my God, you're walking into a guy that sounds like he could be on an NFL roster in the 1950s.
Again, thanks Mark for leaving us on February 4th. Like if Mark did this in early January, Luke Fickell could have got here, maybe gone after the Chase Bryant guy who transferred. Or Chase Bryce is his name, not Bryant. Chase Bryce, who was Trevor Lawrence's backup, now is at Duke. He was recruited by Mark Dantonio. Obviously chose Clemson, which he should have. Probably got a little cheddar with that. But could have gone after him, but Mark decided to wait until February 4th. So thanks. Thanks for collecting your bonus and ditching.
Yep.
But like I said, it was time anyway.
Yeah. As far as that goes, you got anything else to say about your head coach going?
No. Like I said, it was time. I mean, this past season I hated it. I literally, it was like the Lions. I know we want to be Lions free, but I'm just using them as an example. I dreaded watching Michigan State on Saturdays and Lions on Sundays. It just sucked. And also because I worked at Fox 2 over the fall, I would have to log Michigan State's games, and it was like, Jesus,
Michigan wanted to break your pen.
Michigan State, Rutgers, here we go. Oh, touchdown, Michigan State, woohoo! I'm writing shit down, and then my producer, shout out to Matt, he knows how pissed off I was at State. He's like, you ready to select these State highlights? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm thrilled over here. So, like, it drained me.
What's your opinion on Mark Dantonio taking a upper management level in the athletic department now? What does that do for the athletic department whatsoever?
Screw it. Find a way to become the AD. I mean, he's better than Bill Beekman. I mean, I have live footage of Bill Beekman when he realized Mark retired. What?
No.
Oh, what? Mark retired? I just woke up.
I'm supposed to work now?
Chief's been asleep throughout the entire season. And he just woke up to find out that he has to hire a new coach.
You guys want me to deal with this?
Well, you are the AD, Bill. I am? Looks at his business card. Oh, that's right, I am. All right,
Oh.
I'll get to it really quickly.
I thought that was like art director or something. I was about to paint a picture for the background of the Michigan State
AD
game.
means athletic. I thought I was with the art department. Oh my God, Bill Beekman. Yeah, if Mark could somehow find a way to be AD, that's my dream. But he'll probably become like some special assistant or some stupid stuff.
You actually would like Dantonio to become AD?
Over Bill Beekman?
Well, yes.
Bill
over
Beekman's a
Bill-
meme to Michigan State fans.
Over Bill Beekman, yes, but just in general, you'd want him to be the AD.
I was
You
just
wouldn't want them to hire outside of the school, or you'd actually like him to be AD.
I mean, I think Mark would be a fine AD. He's better than Bill. I literally just imitated a joke on Bill Beekman as a sleeping dude thinking that he was with the art department, not the actual AD of Michigan State. You're like, come on, I'll take a pencil over Bill Beekman. I mean, come on now.
I'll let a pencil write its own shit.
Oh, I'll take this wooden sword. I mean, come on now. I mean, Mark will probably become like the special assistant to the chair of the athletic department or something stupid. I don't know. But if he wants to stay here in the department, screw it. I don't care. If he wants to go to a beach and live with the grandkids, he's earned that right. If he wants to become AD, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to take another job, he has earned the right to do that. God bless.
Dantonio for the Michigan job next year. No. That's my response to my own take.
No.
No, thank you.
I'd rather not see that.
All right, on to the Super Bowl.
Final
recap.
topic of the day, Super Bowl. I know this is something you wanted to get to.
Yep. First question: is Terry Bradshaw drunk at the end of that game?
I think the whole broadcast was drunk. I mean, they were in South Beach. Let's be fair here. But in all seriousness, though, first of all, the first half was a better football game than last year. Period.
I think any football game that you could have picked this year was better than that Super Bowl last year. I don't know if that Super Bowl last year was just a matter of the Rams relied too much on Gurley and he just wasn't there to pick up on it, but that's besides the point. That was last year.
I've told you this already. I still don't believe last year the game was between the two best teams.
No.
I will go to the grave, hopefully in 100 years or so. I will be like on my deathbed. I still believe Super Bowl 53 was between the two teams that should have lost in the championship game. And then I'll croak. But no, this game, I legitimately felt like it was between the two best teams left standing.
For sure.
It was a fantastic game, in my opinion.
It was great.
It was
up until the last 2 minutes of the game, it could have gone either way.
And
that's what you want from a Super Bowl.
the fact that San Francisco dominated that game throughout the first,
3.5 quarters.
3 1/4, I would say.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City just went bop, and they just went. It just showed the greatness of Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
I mean, this dude is 24 years old, already has an MVP, a Super Bowl, and a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, he's already reached the peak. He could retire if he wanted to.
You actually just stole my thunder. I forget who said this, but it's perfect. Like, he could retire today, and he would already go down as one of the best ever. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. I mean, like I said, he's 24, Super Bowl MVP, league MVP. It's insane. He's a stud.
He is. He is the best quarterback in the league right now.
And it's not disputable either.
It's not disputable.
I mean, coming into the season, you could have made an argument for Aaron and Tom and Patrick, so on and so
Russell
forth.
Wilson.
Yeah. Now, it ain't a question. It's Patrick Mahomes.
That's for sure.
I mean, with all due respect to Aaron and Tom and Russell, because they're obviously great, it's Patrick. It's not close. I mean, he's got a cannon for an arm. He's mobile. Maybe not as much as like Lamar, but I mean, he could use his legs as a weapon. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's smart. He's a great leader. He's great in front of the microphone. He's got a great relationship with his coach and his team. I mean, he's everything you want in a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And he's an easy guy to root for, too. Like, it's not like, Tom Brady, where half the world hates him and half the world loves him.
Yeah.
Everybody, unless you're a rival of the Chiefs, everyone loves Patrick Mahomes, just outside of football. Putting ketchup on his steak, the Kermit memes. Patrick's awesome. I was happy to see him win.
And the Tigers love Patrick Mahomes.
Well, they drafted him. Hey, low-key, Patrick Mahomes, I know you're watching. If you want to quit football now that you've basically done it all, you want to come play for the team that drafted you, come on.
Come on. Win a World Series with us now.
Then you'd really be considered not just the best football athlete ever, but the best athlete, period.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, Patrick, I'm not joking no more. Come home.
Bo Jackson who? Let's go.
Kyler who? Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I think that's a neat little tie into Detroit, though. The fact that Patrick Mahomes is technically a Tiger.
And the Tigers are better at drafting quarterbacks than the Lions.
I hate that joke. I hate that joke.
I know. I've heard it too many times for me to like it.
You were joking. There were people actually tweeting on Sunday. The Tigers have drafted more Super Bowl winning quarterbacks than the Lions. It's like, thanks.
I didn't know about that before you said it.
I was enjoying my night before I had to see that tweet. But yeah, that
best
game.
Super Bowl halftime show in years.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but
why not?
I mean,
it was great.
That was a very entertaining halftime show.
Yeah, it's better than Adam Levine twirling his shirt around.
Very.
Yeah, it's better than getting screwed out of a SpongeBob honor.
Very, very true. Yeah, Shakira, what's up?
What's up?
Yeah, that was a great halftime show. I thought I might sound like a homer because I internet Fox, but I thought the broadcast was awesome. I like Fox's broadcast, and I thought the entire broadcast was good. The pregame show, the game itself, I thought was well commentated, even though, we have our problems with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I thought
Joe Buck is still a subpar announcer.
I thought they did a good job on Sunday, though. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the commentary, but I thought, just the entire broadcast was good. Between the post game, the actual game itself, halftime, the halftime show. I thought the commercials were all right, and then the post game show, it was great.
I dug the commercials.
They were good this year, I thought.
I legitimately enjoyed them. I thought they were a lot better than they have been in years past.
There were a couple ones that stuck out to me. The Doritos one with Lil Nas X, I thought that was funny.
I like the Post Malone one.
That's a meme now. The one with Chris Evans, the guy from The Office.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
Yeah,
and,
that was sweet. I thought that was funny.
That was funny. There's another one that the Bryan Cranston one, the Mountain Dew, the Shining commercial. That was good.
What'd you think of the Tide commercial?
What, the one with Charlie Day?
The one that consistently kept on going throughout the...
I didn't even notice it until the end of the game when somebody pointed out to me. It's like, that was all one big commercial. I was like, oh, I thought Charlie Day just took a bunch of paychecks.
Is it later yet? I thought that commercial was sweet, especially the ending where his shirt's actually clean. He's like an old person. Someone like wipes their ice cream on his shirt. He's like, then the commercial breaks. But yeah, like the entire broadcast I thought was great. It was a great game, great broadcast by Fox, a great halftime show. And heck of a win for the Chiefs. I mean, they didn't play their best game at all, but they still got it done. That's all people care about.
Yep.
While for the 49ers, they're not going anywhere.
Nope.
What?
Go ahead.
Nick Bosa, I had to remind myself throughout the game that he's a rookie. I mean,
that is nuts.
If the 49ers would have won that game, you could have made a strong argument he could have won Super Bowl MVP as a rookie. I mean, he was causing problems for Patrick Mahomes all game.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the second they started to figure out how to stop him, that's when the Chiefs started to get the comeback going.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was killing Patrick Mahomes all game to the point where I was thinking, is something wrong with Patrick Mahomes to start this game? He was like overthrowing guys, like just undercutting them. His throws were wobbly. Like,
I was starting to legitimately think like the stage might be too bright.
yeah,
That ain't the case whatsoever.
no.
But no, I mean, even Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have a bad game. I mean, obviously he missed just one big throw on 3rd down and 10 in their final possession.
Yep.
But other than that, Jimmy G I thought was good.
And shame on the media for immediately saying, is Jimmy Garoppolo out in San Francisco?
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
screw you, everybody.
If you're going to point the finger at any San Francisco 49er for that game, it should be Kyle Shanahan. And I like Kyle Shanahan a lot.
Dude, I
but
wish he was a Lions coach so bad.
I like Kyle Shanahan a lot, but sweet Jesus, that is now 2 Super Bowls in which he's blown a second half lead. One as an OC, one as a head coach.
Yeah.
How you don't... The team identity of the 49ers is to smash that football down your throat. They stopped running the football in the 4th quarter up 10. It's like, what are you doing?
It's just a stretched out version of the Seahawks ran the ball on the on 1st and 1.
I know you want to be Lions free, but it's a good Lions joke here. They're like Matt Patricia. They're just outsmarting themselves.
I don't know if Patricia's doing any smart thinking at all.
He's outthinking himself.
Yeah, he did.
That's not saying that Patricia's a smart coach. I'm saying he's outsmarting himself like Patricia usually always does.
That's true.
I just don't know how you don't. I don't know how you don't call a timeout to close out the first half.
That was stupid. I was like, okay, where's the timeout?
Where's
the timeout?
They literally
It's
showed John Lynch in the press box being like, timeout. I don't know how you don't call a timeout there. I don't know how you don't run the football and be yourself on offense when you have a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter. I just saw Kyle Shanahan, if anything, the stage got too bright for him. Maybe he was like, oh shit.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to pass the ball? Am I supposed to run? Don't call a timeout. Just go.
They're expecting us to run. Let's throw. And then that bit them right in the cheeks. So
that's exactly what he was probably thinking. They're expecting us to run. Let's just throw the ball, catch them off guard.
And that didn't work, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but anywho, I mean, good for the Chiefs. I mean, that fan base, woo! Yeah. I went to Kansas City in 2017. I went to a Tigers-Royals game, and they were really nice to me and my dad. They were very, very nice people, like asking us, like, oh, how do you enjoy the city? How do you like the ballpark? So on and so forth. Like, you don't see that when you go to Cleveland. I'm sorry, Cleveland. When my dad and I went to a Tigers-Indians game a couple of years ago at Progressive, Indian fans just they basically could have spit on us. Like, they were just awful. White Sox fans, I don't know. I haven't talked.
Chicago fans, they're their own breed.
Minnesota, I've never been to a Twins game, so I really don't know. But Kansas City, though, shout out to you. Good for you. You deserve this.
If I had to take a couple guesses, I'd say Minnesota's probably just as friendly as Kansas City.
I can't tell you.
The state of Minnesota is like super friendly. I'll tell you that.
You been to Minnesota?
I've known people that have, and they're like, yeah, it's super friendly over there. Everybody's like neighbors with you.
Nice. But yeah, Kansas City, very nice folk, and they got a Super Bowl. Yeah. Good for them. Good for Andy Reid too. He needed a Super Bowl win.
He's been starved for one. I mean, that's the only thing he's been starved about. But yeah,
that was his biggest gripe. He doesn't have a Super Bowl win. Now he does. I mean, Andy Reid, he's another one. He's easy to root for.
Yeah, he's just such a cheerful guy all the time.
After the AFC Championship game win against Tennessee, like, he was asked during his press conference, what are you going to do to celebrate? He's like, I'm going to go home, be with my grandchildren, make a couple cheeseburgers. And then after the Super Bowl win, he's like, someone asked him.
That reminds me of, what's his name from LSU?
Coach O.
Coach O.
Go Tigers.
Dude, after he won a national title, he's like, I'm just going to go home and make myself a couple grilled cheeses.
I'm gonna go recruit, make a couple cheeses.
So it's like they're like the same kind of coach, and that's great that they both won a title this year.
Yeah, but even after the Super Bowl, they're like, you going to go celebrate the trophy? He's like, I'll celebrate with my trophy wife. It's like, yeah, Andy, you deserve it. Go
The
ahead.
halftime show whirls up to Andy Reid's house after the game.
I think that's a good stopping point for this episode. By the way, look at my Pistons shirt.
Tony thinks it looks awful. I think it looks pretty sweet.
Like the blue, I still don't like the blue stripes on the uniforms.
No, I think they could remove that part. And I think the
Like,
uniforms.
just look at the blue stripes. I just don't think they're necessary at all.
I think the red uniforms for the Pistons. Oh my goodness. I think
It's empty anyway.
I think the red uniforms for the Pistons, they need a lot more white.
That's a meme, by the way.
What?
I threw the mic and knocked my bottle off.
One last thing before we go. We haven't had an episode since this happened, the Kobe Bryant thing. And I think it's fair as
We should at least mention it.
yeah, I think we should at least mention it.
I don't want to go into like a deep dive because then they'll just kind of
Yeah.
make me upset.
Yeah, I don't want to end this on a terrible note. So we're just gonna. I mean, as a Piston fan, there's a lot of memories of Kobe Bryant. My first real memory as a sports fan was that 2004 NBA Finals, and even going up against the Lakers, I was still a huge Kobe fan and Shaq fan at that point in time, and it was, as a little 5-year-old kid, it was easy for me to see how talented he was back then. Even going up against, my team. And, as long as I've been alive, he's been in the NBA. Or at least, as a public figure. And now it's just crazy to live in a world where that isn't the case anymore. And it's just so sad.
My biggest point of emphasis in my tribute to him on Trash Talk last week was that he was a really inspirational person, whether it was for what he did on the court, with the Mamba mentality, just all the success, or off the court in the Oscar, what he's done for the WNBA and women's sports in general, and especially being a father. He was really, really, really inspirational, and that's what I'm going to remember him for. And it's just, it's a really, really bad tragedy that not only took his life and his daughter's life, but 7 other people.
Yeah.
So, it still sucks, but yeah, it's a tragedy. Really, really bad. We would like to send our condolences again to everybody infected by this.
Yep.
But with that, I think that's a good end point to this episode.
Yep. I think it was a very, very great episode, Tony.
Good episode this week. We didn't have one last week, but we wouldn't have talked about much anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like we had a good bounce back this week, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. So with that, John, thank you.
No problem.
His one word of the day. With that, have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you guys soon.
See you.